Alrighty, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Saturday live stream. I want to first and foremost apologize for starting a little bit later, but today's schedule has been hectic to say the least. Nonetheless, for the next hour and a half, I'll be answering your starter sit questions going into week 2 of the 2023 fantasy football season. Welcome. Glad you guys are here to join us. A reminder, tomorrow morning, I will also be live streaming from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I will have questions answered there. I will have rankings on screen there. As of right now, for those of you who, of course, have questions and don't want to wake up tomorrow morning at an early rate, I'm here to help. Again, there's a lot of information in regards to injuries that we are very clear on now in regards to, obviously, Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler not playing this week. That certainly does give us the question as to whether or not we're playing A.J. Dillon or Joshua Kelly. I expect to see a lot of those kind of questions over the course of today's episode or live stream episode, same thing. Either way, I do see that there are already questions being, filled into the live chat. If you guys could do me a favor, when you ask a question, please be sure to include your scoring format, because if you don't, I'm just going to have to assume that it's a half PPR scoring format, because I just don't know what exactly your exact format is. So the more context you give me, the easier it will be for me to be able to answer your question quickly, and then we can just keep it rolling. So again, thank you for joining. A couple reminders: if you haven't clicked the like button, there's about 250 of you in here. If you guys could do me a favor, click the like button. It takes 2 seconds out of your day, makes the world of difference for the channel in terms of keeping us growing and keeping us producing daily content. Of course, that's basically it. Of course, if you haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, you guys want to get rankings tomorrow morning from my email directly to yours, which includes flex, half PPR, full PPR, all expansive rankings with all positions. Be sure to go ahead, check out Underdog Fantasy, use code Andrew, make that first time deposit minimum of $10. You'll get that email tomorrow morning directly from me to you. Make sure you check your spam folder. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and start answering questions, because we've got a limited amount of time, but not a limited amount of questions. An unlimited amount of questions, if I had to exactly predict. Here we go. Go Bills sends in a question. He says, hey, PPR format, Andrew. My flex, do I start Kenneth Walker, Chris Godwin, or DeAndre Hopkins? DeAndre Hopkins has not practiced all week. There is a high likelihood that he, in fact, misses this week. So if it's between Kenneth Walker or Chris Godwin, Kenneth Walker, who has both of his starting offensive tackles out this week, I would prefer to play Chris Godwin in that position in a full PPR scoring format. Again, Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas, both the starting tackles of the Seattle Seahawks are out, and they have to go sign Jason Peters. Man, that guy is a future Hall of Famer. The amount of snaps he's played and the efficiency he's played at over the course of his very long career, to say the very least. Nonetheless, I'd go with Godwin there. JK sends in a question. What's up, JK? Hope you're doing well. PPR, start 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver. Okay, here we go. 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. We have Garrett Wilson, we have George Pickens, we have Drake London, Nico Collins, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Rashad White, Gus Edwards, Khalil Herbert, and we have Joshua Kelly. Okay, so of the available, so let me just go ahead and let's figure out who we're starting, and then I'll give you guys a little bit more context as to everything else, because Aaron Jones is not going to play. They've already elevated a player off of the practice squad. He's going to be out this week, so that's not even a question. Okay, so as for who we're playing with the rest of the available options, Gus Edwards, I don't want to really play. They could be missing 3 starting offensive linemen for the Ravens as of tomorrow. We know that their center and their left tackle are already out. Their left guard could also end up missing because he did not practice on Friday. So with all those designations already, the Ravens offensive line is in shambles. So I don't really want to trust Gus Edwards there. So I'm going to probably suggest you go with Joshua Kelly first and foremost. Your second play out of that group would probably be Najee Harris. Your wide receiver, because you only need 1 out of the group, I'm probably suggesting you play Garrett Wilson. And then we close out with a singular flex, which at that point would probably be Rashad White. Thank you. Let's see here. Jesse sends in a question, says, do I bench Amari Cooper for Zay Flowers this week? Considering Amari Cooper is dealing with a groin injury, he pops back up onto the injury report as of today's practice because they play on Monday. The assumption is you might not want to wait until then, and you just roll with Zay Flowers. So that's what I would at least suggest. I would probably even rank Zay Flowers ahead of him because of that injury uncertainty as to whether or not he's even going to play. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. RR says, flex question, Sam Laporta or Justice Hill? In a full PPR scoring format, again, I don't. If we're gonna really see 3 of the offensive linemen of the Baltimore Ravens starting 5 out, I'd be far more inclined to play Sam Laporta. Thank you, RR. Appreciate it. Drums for Dave's says, start 2 in a full PPR scoring format. We have Jacobs, Montgomery, Kelly, Nakua, and Dalvin Cook. Okay, so I don't want to play Dalvin Cook. Out of the remaining 4, if it's Jacobs, Montgomery, Kelly, and Nakua, we play Jacobs for sure against the Buffalo Bills. And then if it's between those 3 options in a full PPR scoring format, I probably end up rolling with if Puka Nakua is active tomorrow, which my expectation is that he will be because he did get a limited practice in on Friday, Puka would probably be my suggestion. The 3rd highest ranked player out of that group in a full PPR would probably be Josh Kelly, and 4th would be David Montgomery. Thank you. Corey Miller says, pick 2 out of these 3 in a full PPR. Mike Williams, Mike Evans, Joshua Kelly. Out of those available options in a full PPR scoring format, it'd probably be Joshua Kelly and do I play Mike? Yeah, I'll probably play Mike Evans over Mike Williams. So yeah, Evans and Kelly there. And then your follow-up was, if I don't play Kelly, should for J? No, just keep Kelly. You want to play him this week, at least for what you have available. Thank you. Johnny Coffee says, good afternoon, sir. With Amari Cooper questionable for Monday night, should I start Romeo Doubs, Christian Kirk, Michael Thomas, Nico Collins, or George Pickens, or take the risk on Amari Cooper? I wouldn't take the risk on Amari Cooper. Again, a late week injury, especially it having on a Saturday. The game's on Monday. There's a higher likelihood of him missing the game in comparison to potentially making it. And even if he does play the game, there's also a possibility where he can re-aggravate the injury once again during the entirety of that game, which may end up losing you the week, unfortunately. So at this point, considering you have viable alternative options available to you, I'm looking at Romeo Doubs as the guy that I'd probably roll with there. Thank you. Trojan 3659 says the following. What do we have here? He says, in a half PPR, is it too cute to play Mac Jones over Dak Prescott? I also have Dak paired with CeeDee Lamb. Also, Elijah Moore or Chris Godwin as my wide receiver too. Even with Amari Cooper probably not playing, I'd rather play Chris Godwin over Elijah Moore. But to get back to your previous question in regards to Mac Jones or Dak Prescott going into the given week, is it too cute to play Mac Jones over him? I would say yes, primarily because here's the issue that I have with Mac Jones this week. There is a chance that literally 4 of the starting offensive linemen for the New England Patriots do not play this week. Trent Brown, their starting tackle, did not practice on Friday. David Andrews, their starting center, did not practice on Friday. Their 2 primary starting guards didn't even play in week 1, and they have a chance of potentially missing once again in week 2. And one of their filling guards that did in fact play in week 1, who is a rookie, may not play in week 2 because he did not practice on Friday. So there is a huge, there might be a carousel of new offensive linemen from the practice squad brought up in order to protect Mac Jones. I'm not so sold on that. If we get an indication by tomorrow morning that he's going to have a healthy offensive line, or at least not even just healthy, but at least experienced offensive line like Trent Brown and David Andrews are playing, then I could entertain the idea. But until then, I would just roll with Dak. Thank you. I think you're getting a little too cute. But yeah, the circumstance pretty much kind of pins you into rolling with Dak, even though it is a tougher matchup, and I do realize that for sure. Skizzy says, in a full PPR, currently have Henry and Pierce. Okay. Hopes of Taylor plays this season. Thinking of dropping Deontay Johnson for a running back just in case. Any advice on a sneaky running back that you should drop Deontay Johnson for? I wouldn't. Deontay Johnson's already been deemed out this week. He should be thrown onto your injured reserve unless you already have Taylor there. If you're looking for like a sneaky running back, I mean, the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that may be available in your league, which most likely isn't, is someone like Roshan Johnson, because yeah, I mean, let me go see what his rostership percentage is as of this moment in time. It's probably a lot higher based on his 14 points he put up in week 1. So I'd venture to say that he's not available, but I'll go ahead and cross-reference it for at least Yahoo leagues right now, just so I have an idea. What is Roshan? Let's see, where is he at? Roshan Johnson has 32% rostership as of Yahoo. So, I mean, I guess you could make a swap like that prior to the week 2 matchup if in fact you are stacked at wide receiver and you're not keeping Deontay. They're not sending him to the injured reserve, which means he could come back at least in the next 2 weeks, hopefully, which provides me that I want to keep him, but I understand you need the running back depth of some sort. All right. Johnny Coffee was saying this is a half PPR. Yeah, I'd still stick with the Dobbs proclamation there. Johnny Coffee, thank you, appreciate it. James Grover says, in a full PPR, do I start Puka Nacua in a tough negative game script match or Nico Collins in a plus match? I don't really think Nico Collins is technically in a plus match. I think there's just more of a possibility in which the Houston Texans are able to compete with the Indianapolis Colts, which may force far more rushing attempts than we saw week 1 in terms of their overall game script. So ultimately, is it a plus matchup? I mean, I think it'll be close enough to where the target volume probably isn't as close as it was to, that 11 number last week. So I'm leaning in the direction of Puka Nacua there. Thank you. And also, CJ Stroud's dealing with a shoulder injury. He didn't practice for Wednesday or Thursday of this week. He did get in a limited practice on Friday. The expectation is that he's going to play, but if he's hurt, it just doesn't help the overall situation either. Let's see here. Bonk says, trade Kelly to Eckler manager for DJ Moore. Yeah, I mean, if you need the wide receiver depth, again, Joshua Kelly for now, as of this week, obviously a starter. It is a tougher matchup, but ultimately, in the long run, he is the second RB. If anything's to ever happen to Eckler, you have the keys to the kingdom potentially of a guy that certainly, even though he is not of the caliber of Eckler, could be an RB1. But if you're super desperate at wide receiver and you need to make a swap there, I don't mind it ultimately. Let's see here. OG Rivera says, full PPR, start to Pickens, Dillon, Algier, and Zay Jones. Out of those 4 available options, I'll play Dillon first and foremost. The second option's kind of tough because Cordero Patterson's return is going to definitely make it a little bit trickier to start Algier on a consistent basis unless we begin to see, Algier's taking even more of a workload and nothing's really being impacted by the presence of Cordero Patterson. So for now, I will venture to say, yes, let's run with Dillon and Algier and hope for it, but it's a little bit tricky due to the Cordero Patterson presence that obviously wasn't there in week 1. Juan Vaca Ramirez, hope you're doing well, says, in a full PPR, Andrew, do I play Juju or Elijah Moore? I would play Elijah Moore there. Thank you. Jay Hawley 203 says, London, Tutu Atwell, or Allen Robinson in a full PPR. I don't want to play London because he plays against Jair Alexander, so I'm not really interested in that overall. Go ahead. Tutu Atwell, I don't like the matchup against the 49ers either, so I'm probably playing A-Rob there, which is probably the last thing I would have ever thought this live stream would have led me down the path of. I did not expect myself to be suggesting that anyone play Allen Robinson, but we're here. Thank you. Moving on, we have Jamar says, Kelly if Eckler is out or James Cook in a full PPR. Between the two options in a full PPR, I'm probably leaning towards playing, oh man, Joshua Kelly. Yeah, if he wasn't playing Tennessee, I would say Joshua Kelly's the play, but he's playing one of the best run stop defenses in the league. So I'll just go ahead and roll with James Cook there. Thank you. Let's see here. Luis Alcantar says, in a full PPR, 12 teams, my running backs are Chubb, Barkley, Stevenson, Montgomery. My wide receivers are DJ Moore, Jahan Dotson, Christian Kirk, Quentin Johnston, and Puka Nacua. I just traded away Puka, Dotson, and Montgomery for Lamb. What do you think? Okay, so you would technically still have Chubb, Barkley, Stevenson. Your wide receivers would be then Lamb, DJ Moore, and Kirk. I don't know what your tight end or quarterback is. I mean, look, at this point in a 12-team league, I don't know how you managed to even put together this squad in the first place, but I don't mind the deal altogether. Montgomery was a later round pick. So was Dotson. Puka was free pretty much off waivers, and you're getting a first-round wide receiver for it. I don't mind it, especially in a full PPR. I like the Lamb grab there. Tyler, sends in a question, says, start 2, Mixon, Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Kelly, or Moss. Out of that group, with no scoring format in terms of context, I'm probably going to just say that it's half PPR, just, for my sanity. In this case, Tyler, I'm leaning towards okay, so it's Kelly, Moss, Javonte, Montgomery, Mixon. Okay, so out of the available, the safest of the bunch would probably be to roll with Montgomery and Kelly. Thank you. P. Maney says, full PPR, pick 2, Hall, Dotson, Elijah Moore, or Burks. Okay, so in a full PPR scoring format, I'm assuming that's Breece Hall because there's no really other Hall. Treylon Burks, I'm not playing. unless we get an indication that DeAndre Hopkins is fully out. So that's going to be the tough thing. Let me see. When does the Tennessee Titans play tomorrow? What time span are they in? Are they in the early morning or are they an afternoon game? Tennessee Titans are in the morning. Okay, so at least we'll have an indication tomorrow morning. So if in fact we do get into a position in which DeAndre Hopkins is not playing, and I think it's trending in that direction, I don't know if I can trust Treylon Burks outright immediately as someone that I can, potentially start in the given week. I'm probably leaning towards playing Elijah Moore and Dotson out of the group though for now. Thank you. Nate says pick 2.5 PPR, Nico, Herbert, Kelly. I would play Kelly and Nico Collins there. Thank you. Trojan 3659 says Kenneth Walker or James Cook. I'll take James Cook there. Thank you. Joseph Hassan says start Gabe Davis or Zay Jones. I'll take Zay Jones there. Thank you. Key Lloyd says thoughts now in a full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 flex. I have Harris, Akers, Robinson, picking up Algier and Kieran Williams. We have Chase, Godwin, Collins, and Reynolds. Still scared. Okay, so at this point, Chase and Godwin are your 1-2 wide receivers. Your 1-2 running backs consist of, let's see, I'm assuming that's Brian Robinson and not Bijan Robinson. If it is Bijan, obviously he's the guy that you roll with. But if it is Brian Robinson, you'd probably play Algier alongside of Najee Harris this week. But if it's Bijan, you probably run both the Atlanta backs. Outside of that, I don't know if you should technically be scared. Outside of that, the only other player that I'm willing to roll with in the full PPR format as of your flex this week is probably rolling with Collins there, because I don't really trust Akers. I don't trust Kieran Williams against the 49ers matchup either. And Robinson, again, without a touchdown, isn't as viable in a full PPR. Thank you. VA says, do I trade Andrews and Jamal Williams for Jahmyr Gibbs and Evan Ingram? In a full PPR, I have Chubb, Breece, Swift, and Dalton Kincaid on my bench. Chubb, Breece, and Swift. You're trading for Gibbs. You're getting rid of Andrews. Getting rid of Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams in about 2 weeks from now is not going to have much value. But after this week, he'll probably get a nice dosage of fantasy point influx. Are we making the move for Evan Ingram with Yeah, I don't mind it. Look, I don't mind the swap from Andrews to Gibbs. I mean, they were both technically third-round picks this offseason in a full PPR scoring format. So I think they're very similar in value. I think the Evan Ingram, take that you'll be bringing in at least can sit there in your starting tight end position until Kincaid kind of rolls a little bit more momentum in the next couple weeks. But yeah, I don't mind that pickup. Jimmy Navarro says, Zay Jones, Dotson, Judy, pick one. I will play Judy this week. Thank you. Robert Fernandez, half PPR. Pick one, Breece Hall, Brian Robinson, Javonte Williams. I'll take Javonte out of the group. Marquis says, in a half PPR, I need to start a wide receiver. Out of the following 3, we have Christian Watson, Treylon Burks, and Hollywood Brown. I don't know if Christian Watson's going to play. He was limited yesterday, but he did miss Wednesday and Thursday's practice. If I had to guess, the likelihood is he does not play that game, and Treylon Burks would be the answer. Thank you. Nate says, Fields at Tampa or Richardson at Houston? Man, that's a really good question. Carlton Davis is out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which certainly does help DJ Moore in his efforts in the given week. So that's huge, to say the least. But do I trust outright Justin Fields more than... Considering the matchup, I want to play Justin Fields because I know that he's far more capable than what he was able to produce in week 1. But if I had to guess, the numbers that you saw from Anthony Richardson in week 1 is probably what you'll, very similarly get. Maybe 1 to 2 point difference, on a downslide, maybe like 18. Well, actually, let's think about this. If in a half PPR scoring, or not half PPR, 4 point per passing touchdown league, how many did he score? He put up like, let's see here. What was it, 20 points? I thought it was 20 points. I can't even rattle it off the top of my head. Yeah, 20.9. Like, even if he scores 18, I feel like I'm willing to take the risk of like Justin Fields only putting up 16 if the matchup goes terribly. But if he has the upside game that I'm expecting, I mean, we know he can get to a 25 to 30 point game. He just needs one of those bigger runs. So I'm leaning in the direction of taking the risk with Fields there. Thank you. I mean, I don't really think it's a risk either. I mean, the experience is under his belt. I think he'll be far better in week 2. Pro 2 says, Rashawn Johnson, Jamal Williams, or Kieran Williams this week. I would play Jamal Williams. Thank you. Trojan3659 says in a half PPR, Montgomery or Dameon Pierce. I prefer Montgomery in the given week. Thank you. Joey Boy says half PPR, pick 2: Flowers, Puka Nacua, Watson, Nico, or Kelly. In a half PPR, under the assumption that Watson's probably not going to play. I mean, again, he could end up playing, and even if he does, it's kind of a sketchy play overall. He could leave the game early with re-aggravated hamstring injury. Those are tough to deal with, especially not coming off a full week of practice. Like in comparison to Jerry Jeudy has demonstrated a full work week of practice. And then we've already heard from Sean Payton, the head coach, he's not going to be on a pitch count or a snap count to prevent him from getting overall upside. So in comparison, I don't really trust Watson there. Out of the available group that you mentioned, I'm leaning towards the idea of playing Kelly alongside of it's either Puka or Flowers. I'll probably roll with Zay Flowers for there. Thank you. Sparky says start one in a PPR scoring format. We have Moss, Dotson. What is that? Kendrick Bourne. We have JSN, Mostert, or Kieran Williams. Out of the group of the available players you have, I'm leaning towards playing Mostert. Thank you. Silver Badger says in a half PPR, Pirine or Puka in the flex. I will play Puka Nacua there. Thank you. ER, where are you? Says start one: Brian Robinson, Jeudy, Tony, or Nico. I will play Jerry Jeudy. Thank you. We had Keloid come back in with another question. Should I mention Christian Watson as well? But I'm guessing he's still not good to go. Yeah. Thank you, Keloid. Pretty much that's my thought process. I don't really think he'll be firing on all cylinders in the given week. All right, let's see here. PDD sends in a question. Says full PPR, pick 3: Pickens, Elijah Moore, Zay Flowers, Treylon Burks. Pickens, Elijah Moore, Zay Flowers, Treylon Burks. Okay, so as of right now, because we don't have at least I don't have the 100% indication as to whether or not, what's his name? DeAndre Hopkins is playing. Let me go check the Tennessee Titans practice report one more time just to see if they've perhaps changed his overall designation as of this week. Yeah, he's still questionable to play. I mean, he didn't practice all week, but for right now, even with the idea of Treylon Burks being the number 1 of the team, I'm going to lean towards just playing Pickens, Elijah Moore, and Zay Flowers over him. Thank you. Moving on. Yerbo, thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's very generous of you. Full PPR. I have Josh Allen, Chubb, Madison, Connor, Ridley, Hill, Freiermuth. My bench consists of McLaurin, JSN, Joshua Kelly, and Lawrence. Do I need to trade Hill / Connor / another running back? Let's see here. Do I need to trade Hill and Connor / another running back for Bijan, Barkley, and Mike Williams, or trade Josh Allen for a top pick RB? Let's see here. So if you were to move Hill and Connor with another one of your running backs, I mean, what is your other running back? Probably Madison at that point, or to be Josh Kelly. I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you're trading it for that, I would take the deal. Yeah, I'd rather have Bijan and Barkley, to be honest, than Hill and Connor. So I'd take the deal. Now, if you don't like it in specific, trading Josh Allen, considering you have Trevor Lawrence on the bench, for a running back that is in the top tier, like a top 10 guy from the preseason, I don't mind that either. I think both trades, ultimately help your team in the long run. Thank you. Where is cool? Says in a full PPR, Moss, Kelly, Dillon, Pittman. I need an RB2 and a flex. Out of the available that you mentioned, I'd play Dillon and Pittman. Thank you. Jose Cruz says, in a half PPR, we have Allen, Pollard, Bijan, Ridley, Ayuk. Man, there's a lot of players. Freiermuth. I need help with the flex. We have Rashad Penn. Okay, whoa. Okay. So those are your players. You need help with the flex. Your flex is Rashad White, DJ Moore, or Josh Kelly in a half PPR. I'd probably lean towards Josh Kelly there. Thank you. Dorsey 5001 says full PPR, Godwin or Zay Jones. I'll take Godwin there. Only Chrome says, what move should I make for a running back? I've got Bijan, Montgomery, Kelly, A-Chain. Wide receivers are Chase, Allen, Cooper. Yeah, what I've been telling people this week is if you can, try to trade Montgomery for Jahmyr Gibbs. And then additionally, if you can, maybe scoop up Montgomery. If it doesn't roll for Gibbs, take him, grab another receiver, and try to roll and try to find Josh Jacobs in a potential trade. That'd be my suggestion there. Thank you. Nicholas Foss. Let's see here, Nicholas. Where are you? in the chat. Where are you? Okay. There wasn't a message attached to the first one, but there was to the second one. And it says, should I trade Rashad White after this week, or do you like his overall upside? It depends how well he plays. I mean, he plays against Chicago, so it's a really advantageous matchup. But if he's still inefficient with his overall touches and he's still not getting a lot of receiving upside with the overall workload, then at that point I'd ship him. But then again, I don't want to overreact too early. But yeah, the inefficiency of his play is often going to be dictated by his offensive line, which obviously is not as great as it used to be in years past. They've obviously lost a lot of their studs at Tampa Bay, but ultimately, yeah, it's going to be based on his efficiency as of how well he plays against a terrible defense and how much we can trust him for the remainder of the year. Let's see here. Beast sends in a question, says, should I trade Bijan Robinson for Christian McCaffrey? Yes. If you can, you should. That's a given. I don't know how you would be able to do that. John S says, in a full PPR, I need an RB2 and a flex. We have the options of Kelly, Pierce, and Hall. Okay, so out of those three options, I'd play Kelly and Pierce. Follow up. Also, just submitted a trade proposal giving Madison and Deshaun Watson for Josh Allen. Thoughts? Yeah, if you can get away with that, that's a steal. Thank you. Toast says, with news on Amari Cooper, do I play Pickens, Dotson, or Gabriel Davis? As of right now, out of those three options, I'm more inclined to roll with playing Pickens against Cleveland, considering there is no Deontay Johnson. I don't really trust Gabriel Davis. Very high floor, very low floor, high ceiling kind of play, boom or bust. So I don't really trust that. It is a decent matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, but again, don't trust it in any sort of regard. Dotson could have himself a great week, especially against Denver. Their second cornerback just, got torched by Jacoby Myers last week. So there is a conversation to be had there. But in terms of overall opportunity, I'll lean in the direction of Pickens without Deontay Johnson in the lineup. Let's see here. We follow up. We had a question that rolled in from Luis. Luis, thank you very much. Says, sorry, my quarterback is Herbert and Richardson on the bench, and I have Henry. My trade that I mentioned earlier, picking up Jerome Ford and a flyer. Would you recommend an upgrade at tight end? Okay, let me go find the context of that entire statement there, because I don't even... Okay, so what was your... Okay, got it. Okay. So just traded away. Okay. I mean, look, again, I thought the trade was fine in the first place, Luis, so I'm not really even too worried about it. If you're looking for a tight end upgrade, I would say give it a couple weeks. Unless you're going to go trade for a big name player like Kittle or Waller, etc. as of right now, the other play would probably be to wait a couple weeks, and then eventually, like it does every season, after the first month, the waiver wire like tight end of the year will kind of show itself as a consistent player. You can scoop him up off waivers, and then you'll have a tight end for the remainder of the season. You won't have to worry. It happens literally every year. There's 4 to 5 guys that just come out of nowhere and that can be consistent. Like last year was Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, guys that were consistently scoring touchdowns and guys that you could have just picked up, put on roster, and you were good to go. In seasons past, Dawson Knox, Dalton Schultz, Robert Tunyons. There's been a lot of guys over the years that have been consistent plays, even though they didn't start off immediately hot or weren't bigger names. They'll eventually find themselves momentum. So I'd wait on that tight end upgrade. Jackie says, full PPR, Zay Flowers or Garrett Wilson. I'll take Zay Flowers this week. Thank you. Let's see here. Elijah. Let's see here. Where did it go? Let me see what happened to it. Maybe I got to look it up. Full PPR. What does that say? Who should I play? Hopkins, Brian Robinson, or Judy? I'd play Judy there. Hunter says, if I drop Sean Tucker for Kincaid, okay, understood. What would the rest of season... Would that be a rest of season improvement? I have Rashad White on the hot seat. I guess it depends, right? Like if the tight end that you currently have on roster isn't someone that you are trusting in the long run, and you're just trying to take a flyer on Kincaid, throw him on your bench and kind of just see how he kind of transpires over the course of the month, probably not a bad idea. Again, even if Sean Tucker takes over the job in Tampa Bay, I don't see it as a guarantee for even more upside. Like I still think that Rashad White will get himself involved in the receiving game. So ultimately it's going to hurt both of them if that takes place. So for now, I don't mind the drop for Kincaid. Corey Olson says, in a full PPR, Evans, Montgomery, Kieran Williams. Out of the three, I probably... I feel more comfortable playing Montgomery at this moment. I know that Evans has a higher likelihood of success because of the PPR format itself, and Montgomery doesn't get any receiving work. I can't guarantee the touchdown from Evans like I can probably trust that Montgomery will likely fall into the end zone, just because the Jamal Williams role when Montgomery is already kind of shown thus far and how he's the goal line back of that team. So I feel like Montgomery's like a pretty safe 12 points at that regard. Let's see here. Eli J says, PPR, flex rank in order, Pacheco, Judy, Puka. In a full PPR, I'd play Judy first, Puka Nacua second, Pacheco third. Thank you. Let's see here. We had Corios. Okay, Alex. If D-Hop is out, do I start Terry, Dotson, Pickens, or Burks? Out of those options, I'd prefer to play Terry McLaurin. Thank you. Abdullah says in a 10-team full PPR, Swift, Sanders, Madison, Stevenson, Jefferson, Waddle, Puka Nacua, Gibson is up for trade. So is DJ Moore. Okay. Should I look for any of these potential trades? I mean, yes, you should. But as for what you're giving away, it's going to be tough. You might be able to just... Because here's the thing, right? I wouldn't trade Jefferson or Waddle. I would try to get rid of Sanders or Madison. I try to keep Stevenson in this overall regard. So it's a matter of like giving away like Sanders, Madison, Puka to try to haul back in the rest of that group. Thank you. Joey Boy says, in a half PPR, pick 2, Michael Thomas, Elijah Moore, George Pickens, Puka Nacua, and Joshua Kelly. Out of those available options, half PPR, it's probably going to be Joshua Kelly and Puka Nacua. Thank you. 2-man, it says full PPR. Sit 1, we have Algier, Evans, and Ayuk. Man, that's tough. In a full PPR, I actually think Algier will play well because Green Bay's run stop defense is awful, and they'll finally get exposed this week because last week, obviously, the Bears weren't able to actualize that. I'm for sure playing Ayuk. Is it the matter of playing Evans over Algier? Algier also has receiving. I think I probably just play Ayuk with Algier there. Thank you. John says, where's John's question? Start 1, Burks, Shaheed, Puka Nacua. I'd play Puka. Drop 2 of these 4. Bigsby, Damian Harris, Kieran Williams, Calvin Austin. I would drop, if I'm dropping 2 of 4, I would drop Damian Harris and Calvin Austin. Thank you. TSSS says, half PPR, Superflex League, pick 3 for the flex. We have Mixon, Michael Thomas, Puka Nacua, Zach Moss, Garrett Wilson. Out of those available in a half PPR scoring format, this one becomes tough because it's kind of hard not to start Mixon. Garrett Wilson has kind of moved down in my rankings a tad bit. Is he low enough to not start over Michael Thomas? Because at this point, I'm thinking to myself, it's Mixon, it's Puka Nacua in the negative game script, probably getting a high volume of targets going in his direction. Outside of that, if it was a full PPR, it would definitely be a little bit easier. I think actually in a half PPR, I might play Zach Moss. I might go Mixon, Puka Nacua, and Moss. Because I look at Garrett Wilson, the matchup against Dallas, Trayvon Diggs, and Stephon Gilmore, whichever side of the field he's on, it's going to be a nightmare for him. Right? I mean, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but for the quarterback he has, it's just not going to work. Michael Thomas, the fact that there's no J.C. Horn for the Carolina Panthers makes it really enticing to try to potentially play him. I would say that I don't want to make it. I want to say wait on it, and I'll tell you tomorrow morning for sure. But yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards that running back. We'll go Thomas, Moss, and Nacua there. Thank you. Man, I kind of want to play Michael Thomas there, but the half PPR format doesn't really lend to it. Blake Dean says, full PPR, pick 1, Gabe Davis, Sky Moore, or Darnell Mooney. If I'm going with all those kind of options in specific, I will just play Gabe Davis and risk it. Bale Kim says, love the content, Laporta or Ferguson going forward. I'd probably lean towards the idea of Laporta for now. I think Ferguson's a guy you should have on bench if you have Laporta as your starter, though. because Ferguson got himself 7 targets, couple of them down in the red zone, wasn't able to haul in that touchdown. There is a potential that Ferguson can very easily turn into a consistent option, especially with Brandon Cooks not practicing all week long with a knee injury this week. There could be more utilization for Ferguson as we go along. Corey Olson says, rank my team. We have Lawrence, Bijan Robinson, Barkley, A.J. Brown, Olave, Waller. I mean, really, I don't have any complaints. Bijan and Barkley are great. A.J. Brown has been slow to start, but that's not a big deal. I mean, for many of you that don't have A.J. Brown, he's probably a buy low candidate for sure going forward. Olave is a great option. Waller's going to get healthy and be fine. Montgomery's great. Lawrence is great. Jets defense, obviously, they're doing their job. You have JSN, you have Addison, you have Kieran Williams, you have Roshan Johnson, you have Pickens, you have Jonathan. I mean, like, I don't see where your team is lacking, to be totally honest. And you have Evans off the bench. Yeah, you don't really have any lacking points there, Corey. I'm going to be honest. You have a pretty good stable of running backs, receivers, and depth, and you've got solid tight end and quarterback play. Ben sends in a question, says, in a full PPR, 2 out of these potential options. We have White, Sanders, Kelly, and Algier. I'm leaning towards the idea of playing Kelly and Algier. Thank you. The Ocho says half PPR, Walker or Dillon. I will play AJ Dillon this week over Kenneth Walker. Thank you. Follow-up question, Rashad White or Chris Godwin. In a half PPR, I'll probably lean towards the running back. Thank you. I'll go with White there. Heat 131 says, I'm 0-1 at the current moment of time. We have Hurts, we have Keenan Allen, Godwin, we have Bijan, Mixon, Laporta, Gabe Davis, Khalil Herbert, Schultz, Mitchell, Elijah Moore, Reed, Roshan, Christian Watson. Would you make any moves with this team? I mean, considering, okay, Bijan, you can't move Mixon until he does something. You can't move Godwin until he does something. Keenan Allen is fine. Gabe Davis is a hit or miss. Khalil Herbert and Roshan, I guess you have whatever transpires from that, but you can't move either those pieces until they establish themselves. Schultz was injured last week. Elijah Mitchell's a handcuff. Elijah Moore could have himself value. You could end up selling him after this week. Christian Watson is to be determined because we don't even know if he plays this week. At this point, you kind of have to wait. You don't really have anything that you can sell unless you're trying to sell Bijan Robinson or Jalen Hurts, which at this point I wouldn't suggest doing so. So you kind of have to wait until your team kind of comes to fruition, or at least has themselves, more consistency of play. If they have better weeks here, then you can look to, potentially move Mixon or Godwin, Watson, etc. Thank you. Tommy Vu says, in a full PPR, should I start Tyler Lockett or Chris Godwin in the flex? Thanks. I played Godwin. Thank you. Anonymous says, in a half PPR, if Watson doesn't play, I need 2 flexes and one running back for this week. We have Javonte Williams, Brian Robinson, Zay Jones, Dillon. I'm starting Kelly already. So 2 flex and 1 running back. The 1 running back that I would suggest is Dillon. The 2 flex options will be Javonte Williams and Zay Jones. Thoughts on Watson? If he's back, he'll be relatively low ranked. I'll just put it that way, because I don't really want to mess with someone that's currently dealing with a hamstring injury that forced him to miss week 1 and immediately throwing him into the lineup. Like, if you're going to miss Wednesday and Thursday practice, you're limited on Friday. Like, I don't know if there could have been that much more of a significant uptick in terms of his progression of health going from Friday to Sunday to where I'm 100% comfortable with the situation. I don't think I'll ever get 100% comfortable with the situation as it stands until we see him have a full week of cleared full participation practice. Thank you. Anonymous, thank you very much again. Appreciate it. That's done. We move on to Lank Dog. We have Lank Dog who asks, I need 2 running backs in a full PPR scoring format. Okay. We have White, Pierce, Jamal Williams, Algier. Out of that group, it's probably in a full PPR, Jamal Williams probably is number 1 out of the group. Number 2 is either between Pierce or Algier. I wish Devin Singletary didn't play as much last week. I'd probably roll with Algier and Jamal. When you move on, you have a question about streaming tight ends for this week. Best options are Chigozimo Okonkwo, Jake Ferguson, Zach Ertz, or Johnson. At this point, in a full PPR scoring format, I'd feel pretty comfortable rolling with Zach Ertz against the Giants. Thank you. Alan says, pick 1 tight end in a full PPR, Hunter Henry or Tyler Higbee or Chigozimo Okonkwo. If I'm playing one of these 3 options, I probably roll with Hunter Henry there. Thank you. in a full PPR format. Just Sherman in a 4 says, in a half PPR, we have Zeke, London, Puka Nacua, or JSN this week. I would play Puka Nacua first and foremost. If I had to play a second option, I wouldn't. I would just fold the week because between London, Zeke, and JSN, yeah, I guess the second option would be JSN. I don't really trust London or Zeke at that point. So it'd be Puka, JSN, London, Zeke in that order. Thank you. Eric says, in a half PPR, do I play Zay Jones, Lockett, or Elijah Moore? I dropped Kendrick Bourne. I'd play Tyler Lockett. I think last week was a huge fluke. Thank you. Matt Glore says, pick 3. I have Hollywood, Dotson, Moss, and DJ Moore. I would bench Hollywood. I'm starting Dotson, Moss, and DJ Moore. Thank you. Alshi Gomez says, Carr or Mac Jones this week in a half PPR. Let me go see who I have ranked higher. Carr or Mac Jones. I can't even tell you off the top of my head at this point. Let's see. As of Thursday's Patreon rankings, I had Derek Carr at 18 and Mac Jones at 20. Again, with the offensive line trending in the wrong direction for Mac Jones, it's beginning to worry me to the extent to where I'm like, yeah, let's probably just play Derek Carr and take the fact that JC Horn is out. It should be an easier matchup because of that secondary, obviously having one man down and their primary starting corner down in that regard. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Ross Wong. Thank you very much, Ross. Appreciate it. You dropping Paris Campbell / Sky Moore for Josh Reynolds? Also Henry or Freiermuth this week? Full PPR. Henry or Freiermuth this week in a full PPR? I'd probably... that's a good question. I think Freiermuth, because of the absence of Deontay Johnson and the fact that he got in a full practice, would be the guy that I trust more. As for Paris Campbell, Sky Moore, am I dropping either of the two for Josh Reynolds? Yeah, I don't mind dropping Paris Campbell for that. Thank you. Ashley Gomez follows up, says Dobbs or Kendrick Bourne on the waivers. Add one. If I'm adding one of those two options, it's probably going to be Dobbs. I think Kendrick Bourne over his career has been so up and down. He'll have those big weeks and then he'll disappear. That's what concerns me. I mean, it could all change, but for now, I'd probably just take Joshua Dobbs. Is it Josh Dobbs? Why am I... Romeo Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is the quarterback. Apologies. Romeo Dobbs. Brandon. Let's see here. Brandon Roscoe says, Joe Burrow or Jared Goff? I'll take Joe Burrow. Again, two of the starting secondary, defensive backs for the Baltimore Ravens are out this week. No Marlon Humphreys, no Marcus Williams. So that's where I'll go with. Follow-up question. You had also Elijah Moore or Rachaad White in place of Amari Cooper, assuming he's still injured. For now, I would probably, even if it's a full PPR, it would be tough to play. Yeah, I'm probably just going to play Rachaad White there over Elijah Moore. Thank you. Corey Olson says, thanks. Flex. Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much, Corey. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the support. Jared says, in a full PPR, Freiermuth or Sam Laporta this week. Also, Miles Sanders or Rachaad White. I'll play Miles Sanders over Rachaad White. Will I play Freiermuth over Laporta? Yeah, I would play Freiermuth over Laporta. Thank you. Let's see here. Jug sends in a question, says, do I trade Ridley for ETN and DJ Moore? If you need the running back depth, I'm fine with it. Otherwise, I do think that Ridley is going to outscore ETN for fantasy purposes. It's just a matter of, do you need that RB depth? Like, did you lose Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins all in 1 week? And are you potentially in a bad spot? If that's the case, then yeah, I mean, I don't mind that swap. C. Banger says, I got offered Mayfield, Mixon, Garrett Wilson, okay, for Dak, Dalvin Cook, and Godwin. Mayfield, Mixon, Garrett Wilson for Dak, Dalvin Cook, and Godwin. Okay. I have Bijan, Jamal, Metcalf. Okay. So out of the groups, the two groups, I prefer the side with Mixon and Garrett Wilson on it. I don't think Dalvin Cook is worth much going forward, especially with how great, Breece Hall already looked in week 1. And even with Zach Wilson, I think that Garrett Wilson is capable of still being a top 24 wide receiver, to where, yes, he's going to be a lower end wide receiver too. Far more inconsistencies as the weeks go on. But I do prefer him value-wise in this entire conversation. Do you have a quarterback on roster if, in fact, you were to get rid of Dak potentially? You have Allen. Yeah, then you're fine. I'll take the Mixon side. Thank you. Rager. Obed the Rager says, Full PPR, Stevenson, Chubb, Walker, Swift, trade for a wide receiver, question mark. If I'm trading one for a wide receiver, you could really probably move Swift and find yourself a lot of value, especially after that week. Of all the weeks, I mean, the value that he has in that backfield is immense. We know that that's designated, but if you can get back really high receiver value, I do not mind it. I do not mind it. Otherwise, you kind of have to wait for Walker to have himself a bigger week to then sell him, because obviously he's coming off a unfortunate circumstance of a week in week 1, and both of his starting offensive tackles are out going forward, so it's going to be a little tough to move him. Sven Dragon says 0.25 per pick. Sorry, 0.25 PPR, pick 1, Puka, Zach Moss, and Zay Jones. A quarter of a point per reception. So if he brings in 8 passes, he quite literally only scores an additional 2 points. Out of those available options, I'll take Zach Moss there. Thank you. Kevin S., where is your question? Should I trade Mixon for Pittman, Pacheco, and Dobbs? My wide receiver is Garrett Wilson. Mixon for those 3? Look, here's the thing. Romeo Dobbs going forward will have value, but he will be secondary to Christian Watson when Christian Watson's healthy and Aaron Jones is back. I mean, they're all going to be secondary to the backfield, but ultimately he'll be secondary. Additionally, if we're moving Mixon for Pittman and Pacheco, I guess you would, I guess you're going to start Pittman over Garrett Wilson going forward. Pacheco's just a fill-in running back for now. Is it, man, I don't love it, ultimately. I think it's a rough spot to be in, but considering the circumstance, I don't mind it. The truth in the chat was saying Fields or Mac Jones. I'd go with Fields there. Jared says full PPR, start Godwin or Zay Flowers. I'd roll with Zay Flowers probably. Full PPR, Mooney or JSN. If Hopkins doesn't play, it would be Mooney there. James Cook or Josh Kelly, full PPR. I think we talked about this earlier. I'm going James Cook, goat. Big Shot said Montgomery or Javonte Williams or Miles Sanders, pick 2. Montgomery and Javonte. Cali Bear, sorry, man. I don't know if you answered this already, but how do you feel about Jamal Williams or Dameon Pierce? Yeah, I'm leaning towards Jamal Williams in week 2 over Dameon Pierce. Thank you. Andrew Adams says full PPR, Zach Moss or Nico Collins. Dude, a full PPR, it's tough. It's tough. It changes a lot of things there. I am inclined to. I don't think that Nico Collins has the touchdown upside like we want him to, and that scares me. So I'm probably leaning towards Zach Moss because I think the touchdown upside, it will probably be existent. Even if he doesn't score, the Houston matchup is good enough for him to be a valuable enough prospect to at least break even against Nico Collins. But I think the upside is on his side specifically. We had a question from Bacon. Bacon, thank you very much. Says, in a full PPR scoring format, pick 1, Montgomery, Tyler Algier, Nico Collins, Zay Jones, or Romeo Dobbs. If I'm picking one out of this group, I'm probably ending up playing Montgomery or Zay Jones. Or sorry, not Zay Jones, Zay Flowers. Let me see here. Full PPR, where do I have them ranked? Montgomery. I probably have Montgomery really far ahead of him, but could be close. Where is Flowers? So that's 30. Where's Flowers? Yeah. I have Montgomery the highest out of the bunch. Thank you. Patrick sends in a question, says, if Hopkins is out, do I play Burks, Nico, Puka, or Bourne? I would play Puka Nacua number 1, Nico Collins number 2, Treylon Burks 3, Kendrick Bourne 4. Thank you. Polumsky says, should I trade DeAndre Swift for Kenneth Walker? Oh, conventional wisdom would say yes. But I kind of want to wait. I really kind of want to wait and see what they do with Swift going forward. So, I mean, yeah, I would hesitate on that. I kind of want to wait and see what happens. Let's see. Ross Wong, thank you very much. Says, thoughts on my team. I'm currently 1-0. My quarterback is Herbert. We have Bijan Robinson and Tony Pollard as the 1-2 combo in the backfield. We have James Cook as the number 3. D-Hop, Judy, JSN, Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, Lazard, Reynolds as my wide receivers. Okay, pretty thin at wide receiver, but Judy coming back helps. We have Fryer, Muth, and Henry at tight end. We have the Dallas Cowboys defense. No wonder you're 1-0, huh? Make any moves in the 14-team PPR. Okay, so that's why you're thin at your wide receiver position. It's because of the 14-team PPR. If you're making a move at this point, I wouldn't. Look, Bijan, Pollard, and Cook are great 1, 2, 3 for your 2 starting running backs in your flex spot. Judy and Hopkins should be your starting receivers going forward. Herbert shouldn't move. Your tight ends shouldn't move. If you were going to make a move, I guess you could technically laterally move, go for running back, try to move James Cook, try to bring in Jahmyr Gibbs. That would be the thing that I would kind of try to seek out potentially. Let's see here. We had a question from Supreme Chi. It says, in a full PPR, my tight ends are Tyler Higbee, David Njoku, and Laporta. I would play Njoku this week. Follow up. Your flex question is Dotson, Puka Nacua, Mostert, or Amari Cooper with the groin. Thanks. I play Puka Nacua out of the group in the full PPR. Thank you. So it's Njoku and Puka. JP says, where's JP's question? JP? Where'd you go, man? JP's question is, trade Jonathan Taylor for Madison. No. Keep Jonathan Taylor. Thank you. Michael Barton. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Says, week 2, 12-team PPR league. Pick one in the flex. Puka Nacua, DeAndre Hopkins, Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, Josh Reynolds. Yeah, give me the Rams wide receiver, Puka Nacua. Thank you. Angel says, trade Mike Evans for Cooper Kupp in a 10-team full PPR. Considering the 10-team format, and I'm assuming you have additional wide receiver depth outside of Mike Evans, and that will be able to hold you over until Cooper Kupp's return, I'd say yes. Michael Barton follows up, says, week 2, full PPR, pick one for the flex, Joshua Kelly or DJ Moore. Man, that's a tough one. Follow-up question, PPR, pick one, Zay Flowers, Joshua Kelly. Okay. Man, these are tough questions. PPR, these wide receivers versus Josh Kelly. Do I prefer them over Kelly? Kelly is such a strong floor of production because of the offense he's associated with. If he scores a touchdown, gets himself 60 total yards, a couple catches, in a full PPR, he's probably 14 points. And it's kind of hard to pass that up. So I'm leaning towards just rolling with the safety of the Chargers backfield and probably in both those scenarios, just playing Josh Kelly. Thank you. Mark H says, full PPR, pick 2, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, AJ Dillon. Okay. So of those available in a pick 2 full PPR, the first one out of the group that I would want to play is AJ Dillon. The second, it's between Mixon and Montgomery. I play Montgomery over Mixon for now. So Montgomery and AJ Dillon are my suggestions. Number 3 would number 3 is tough. Before I even get there, let me finish off the rest of your question. Geno Smith or Derek Carr. Considering Geno Smith doesn't have both of his starting offensive tackles this week, it makes it tough, to say the very least. But luckily, Detroit's overall pass rush isn't intimidating enough to where I'm worried about it to an extent to where I'm, kind of preventing myself from playing Geno Smith. I think overall, Geno's the better play. He has also rushing upside in comparison to Derek Carr, which elevates his potential for fantasy purposes. Thank you. Cole Grant says, in a 12-team half PPR, K9 for Miles Sanders and Dotson. Sending away Kenneth Walker for Miles Sanders and Jahan Dotson. If it was another receiver, I would probably lean towards yes. The thing about Jahan Dotson is, as this offense begins to kind of unfold itself, it's going to be really a question of whether or not we can trust individual receivers or if Sam Howell is going to even play well. Sam Howell did not look great last week, which is primarily the reason why they didn't win by a, wide fashion of points like we anticipated. So I'm a little concerned about that, to say the least. For now, what I will say is I would take the deal because even before the season started, I prefer Sanders over K9 this season because of Charbonnet. Charbonnet obviously didn't do much in week 1. At least, Chuba Hubbard did more than him. Yet Miles Sanders is probably going to continue to see a very high level of opportunity. I'll take the chance on the wide receiver running back duo. Bronson Mendez says, in a 12-team full PPR, rate my team. We have Fields, Bijan, Gibbs. Okay, pretty good so far. Diggs, fantastic. Waller, Godwin, great. Addison, fantastic. Puka Nacua, Sutton, Algier, my goodness. Javonte, Rashad. How is this a 12-team league, man? How did you manage to get all these studs? So you went Diggs in the first, Bijan in the second, Gibbs in the fourth, Fields in the fifth. Sorry, yeah, Fields in the fourth, Waller in the fifth, Godwin sixth, and then you ended up scooping late round picks of Addison, Algier, Javante. Wow, I mean that is a ridiculous team. One of the best I've seen today. I'm not even joking. All right, let's see here. Zach Tupp said, "Man, I'm late to the game. Why are you late to the game? I'm still here. We're still going to be here for the next 34 minutes answering questions. Thank you for those of you who have joined us this afternoon. Again, sorry, I've been answering nonstop questions, just trying to keep up and catch up as to the best of my ability. Welcome, first and foremost. Tomorrow morning, do not forget, we will be live streaming here on the channel from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will have rankings available on screen, updated as of tomorrow morning for quarterbacks at top 16, also tight ends top 16, and then top 36 running backs and wide receivers. So you'll have the visual representation as to where I'm going with my rankings. We'll also talk about top 12 kicker and defensive rankings tomorrow morning. For those of you who want all of those expansive rankings by position, top 32 quarterbacks, top 60 running backs, 80 wide receivers, top 25 tight ends, top 120 flex, every single week, half PPR, full PPR, you can do yourself a favor by going down to the description, traveling on over to Underdog Fantasy at this current moment in time. If you use code Andrew and make a first-time deposit minimum of $10, not only are you going to get the first-time deposit match, it matches up to 100. So if you deposit 10, you'll get 10. You deposit 100, you get 100. You'll be able to also get my weekly rankings. I'll send it to you every single Sunday morning. So for those of you who want to take advantage of that opportunity for tomorrow, obviously Sunday of week 2, sign up before midnight tonight so that I can have your email on the list. So when I'm sending out those emails tomorrow morning, it'll be on the list ready to go. All you got to do again is use code Andrew, make that first time deposit. For those of you who are wondering if you're potentially eligible, it is based on your location. Let me just go ahead and max that out really quickly just to kind of give you an indication. If it's highlighted in yellow, as you can see, you're eligible. Obviously, some specific states have age prerequisites per se. So you have to be old enough. Obviously, you have to be in a specific location. And if, in fact, you take advantage of the opportunity, you can also potentially put together some pick'em slips for this upcoming weekend. We're going to put together a pick'em slip later on in today's live stream before we close it out, just to kind of give you an indication as to where I'm kind of feeling the potential success lies in going into the week. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. We had a couple more questions thrown in my direction. Vishan says, Dobbs versus the Falcons or Judy versus the Commanders? I'll take Judy there. Thank you. Corey Hoover says PPR, start 2, sit 1, Ramondre, James Cook, Kenneth Walker. Thanks. I will start Ramondre. I will start James Cook. I will sit Kenneth Walker. Thank you. Let's see here. Half PPR, Ertz or Schultz? I will take Zach Ertz. Ando, thank you. Harry Hippo says, what do you think about Amari Cooper's injury? Do you think he'll play? I don't think he'll play. How does it affect Elijah Moore? It'll certainly move Elijah Moore into the top 36 rankings for tomorrow morning's live stream. As to exactly what position, I mean, between me getting to the desk, getting in front of camera, and obviously hearing about the Amari Cooper injury, I haven't even had time to adjust his current ranking. So it's still a matter of like, he's in flux. I have to go look at his snap counts, obviously where he lined up last week in terms of his overall pay, his play. I mean, like I can even do it right now just to kind of clear out some of the confusion that I have. Cause I'm curious, like did Elijah Moore, cause I know he got a couple reps out of the backfield, but is this guy going to get touches in the slot or is he going to play out wide? I mean, that's kind of the primary question. Cause if they're going to play in 2 tight end sets, which they love to do, I mean, amongst all teams, I think, let's see here. Where's it? Here it is. So amongst all teams in week 1, the Buffalo Bills led every team in terms of 12 personnel, which is 1 running back, 2 tight end sets. Where are the Cleveland Browns in that category? The Browns, where are they? The Browns only played 12 personnel, 23%. Is that 12 personnel? No, that's 12 personnel 2% of the time. 13 personnel with 3 tight end sets, 23% of the time. So they led the league in 23%, with 13 personnel, 23% of the time, they led the league in that category. So let's see here. If they're only going to have 1 wide receiver on the field in those formations, it'll probably be Donovan Peoples-Jones, but where is he lining up? Yeah, that's what I thought. Elijah Moore lined up in the slot position 65% of the time in week 1. So He'll probably be on the field for a majority of the game. He did tie for the most targets amongst all the options last week. So he's going to be a top 36 option. It's just like, I do want to be conservative with the overall ranking in case there is a miracle in which Amari Cooper does play on Monday and then it does, bite us in the ass per se. Let's see here. We had a question from Supreme Chi. He says full PPR, start 2. Kelly, Mostert, Dotson, Amari Cooper. 1 running back, 1 flex. The running back's Joshua Kelly. The flex in a full PPR against New England. Do I trust Mostert on his lonesome in comparison to Dotson? Yeah, I'd probably play Mostert there as well. Also, do we start Aaron Jones if he plays? I don't think he's playing. They elevated a running back off the practice squad to the active roster. So the assumption is that he's probably going to be in a position to where he's not active. Dilo in the chat was saying, which teams do you like tomorrow in general? Just in general? What do you mean? As in like wins or losses? I don't even know how I did in terms of week 1 picks. I probably didn't do well because Tampa Bay somehow beat Minnesota, huh? AJ in the chat was saying in a full PPR, pick 2, Mike Williams, Godwin, Kelly, Garrett Wilson. Mike Williams, Godwin, Kelly, Garrett Wilson. Out of those available options in a full PPR, it's probably Kelly and Godwin. Thank you. Make COD great again in the chat was saying, Call of Duty's dead. I mean, what are we talking about, right? PPR flex, Kelly, Pittman, White, Pierce, or Zay Flowers. Out of the available group, it's between Kelly and Pittman. If I'm picking one, I'm probably leaning towards playing Josh Kelly there. Thank you. Good afternoon, says Reynaldo. Should I drop Treylon Burks for Tank Bigsby or Jalen Warren? For now, I wouldn't know. Especially if in fact DeAndre Hopkins by tomorrow isn't available. It's probably a play in which you might want to have on team, especially if he goes off, he gets more of a role within the offense going forward. And of course, if DeAndre Hopkins continues to miss time. Coast to Coast in the chat was saying PPR, JSN or Terry McLaurin. If in fact Amari Cooper misses with the injury, I'd probably play Terry McLaurin there. And I would just avoid the potential risk of rolling with someone like Amari Cooper. Will sends in a donation. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Will. Says, rate my team in a 12-team full PPR. Fields, Bijan, Swift. Okay. Ridley, Ayuk, Andrews, Breece Hall, and 49ers defense. Kieran Williams off the bench with my kicker being Justin Tucker. I mean, at this point, as of what you have on roster, what am I looking to move? I mean, look, at this point, I would be very much so. I'd be confident in the idea of trying to move Breece Hall and try to bring in Jahmyr Gibbs. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Thank you. Antonio Garcia says full PPR, start 2, 1 running back, 1 flex, Montgomery, Connor, Kelly, Nico Collins. It's probably Montgomery and Kelly as of right now. I think Connor's going to have himself a pretty solid week, but I'll roll with Kelly and Montgomery there. Thank you. Freiermuth or Kincaid this week? Big shot. I'd go with Freiermuth. Carlos R says, trade Amari Cooper for T. Higgins? Yes, I would. I don't mind that at all. I had them back-to-back ranked in the pre-draft process, so, one over the other doesn't make a difference to me. I think they're very close enough to where I'm comfortable with either way. Dino Music says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, should I go with Judy or Javonte Williams this week? Javonte Williams, his overall workload, the touches, the volume that he was given is really hard to argue against potentially playing him. So at this point, Denver versus Washington, Benjamin St-Juste is probably the starting cornerback that'll cover Judy. Man, I think that Judy is actually the play. Primarily because of the full PPR format. Like, I know that Javonte Williams had himself a pretty high volume of receptions. He just didn't do much with it. I think I'd probably just roll with Judy, even off the week coming back. Breece Hall or Brian Robinson? Brian Robinson versus Denver? No, I'd probably play Breece Hall there. Thank you. Let's see here. Paul says, 12-team full PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex, Diggs, CD, Amari, Judy, Sanders, Swift. Okay. So of the available you have, 3 wide receivers are Diggs, CD, and Judy. Of the running backs you have, I don't know if you played Swift. But anyway, your question is, should I trade CD for Breece Hall and Pickens? No, keep CD Lamb. Thank you. Danny O'Sullivan in the chat was saying Godwin, Sanders, or Kelly. Godwin, Miles Sanders, or Joshua Kelly. I'd probably roll with Joshua Kelly, and Miles Sanders is the 1-2 there. Thank you. Ando says in a half PPR, pick 2 between Mixon, Cook, and what is that? What's the name there? Something Harris. I'm assuming that's Najee Harris because there's no H Harris. So if I'm picking 2 of those 3, it's Mixon and James Cook there. Start Ayuk or Puka Nacua. I would probably play Ayuk there. Kelly, Pacheco, or Brian Robinson. I would play Kelly. Chris Curry says half PPR. Pick 1 for the flex. Godwin or AJ Dillon. I would play AJ Dillon there. Thank you. Gibbs or Ayuk for the flex. Let's see here. For the flex on also have Chargers backfield. As of this point, man, Antonio, what does that scoring format look like? Because I don't know if if it's a full, man, that's tough between Ayuk and Gibbs. That's tough. Love or Carr? I think I have Derek Carr ahead of Jordan Love this week. Let me confirm. Jordan Love is at 19. Derek Carr is at 18. That was on Thursday's rankings. So technically, if we were to move them up because there's no more Kirk Cousins or Jalen Hurts, technically Derek Carr would be 16 and Jordan Love will be 17 accordingly. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, then we have a question from Napa. He says 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. We have Sanders, Moss, and Hill. Okay, so we have Sanders, Moss, Hill, and Pierce. Okay. Of the available, I'd probably play Pierce there. Moving on to your wide receiver, Pittman, Collins, Moore, and Reynolds. I play Pittman there. And then for your flex, I'm playing Sanders. So it's Pittman, Pierce, and Sanders. Thank you. Abdullah says, part 2, question. The owner of Gibbs doesn't want him, but doesn't want Madison or Sanders from me. Trade anyone else. Let's see here, Abdullah. Let me go find what your team was. All right, so you have Swift, Sanders, Madison, Stevenson, Jefferson, Waddle, Puka. Would you take Puka Nacua? I mean, that's probably the next question at that point. Because if not, your move would have to then be Swift at that point. That would be the only other move unless he's willing to take the Puka Nacua trade. Which, I mean, that's what you want him to take. Because you don't want to give away the higher value prospect. Okay, let's see here. That's done. Okay, cool. We had a question that came in from Benny. And, okay, Matthew says, half PPR Puka Nacua or Zach Moss. I'd probably roll with Puka for now. Follow-up from Benny says, Richardson or Love this week. I'll take Anthony Richardson. Eric says, start Deshaun Watson or Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's my suggestion there. Thank you. Donald Smith says, full PPR, Gibbs, Collins, or Damian Pierce. I'll take Gibbs there. Sam Laporta or David Njoku. Papa, I would say go David Njoku there. Renee says, hi, Andrew. In a full PPR, Godwin, Pickens, or Puka Nacua. Bench 1. I'm benching Pickens out of the group. Kyle in the chat was saying, full PPR, pick 2. Rashad White, Chris Godwin, Jamal Williams, Tyler Algier, Puka Nacua. My goodness. Oh, this week's tough, huh? Or do I drop one of the above for AJ Dillon? My suggestion would be, this is a legitimate suggestion. Considering what you have on roster. Oh, man, it's tough. I would want to play AJ Dillon above all of them, which makes me think I'd probably rather drop Jamal Williams to play AJ Dillon. But the issue is, I'm thinking I want to play, yeah. So it's probably swap in AJ Dillon, lose Jamal Williams. He'll be replaced by Alvin Kamara in a couple weeks from now. But then you also just play Puka Nacua alongside AJ Dillon there because of the absence of Aaron Jones this week. Or potentially further absence if, in fact, he misses multiple weeks. Trade Pollard, Amari Cooper for Gibbs Olave. Ooh. Pollard, Amari Cooper for Gibbs Olave. I'd probably keep the Pollard side for now. Start Higgins or Pacheco in the flex. Depends on scoring format. If it's a full PPR, it's certainly Higgins. If it's a half PPR, I'd have to think about it for a while. Zay Jones or Khalil Herbert. Allen, I'd play Zay Jones. Zay Flowers. Sorry. Every time I see Zay, it just boom. Immediately makes me think of Jones because Flowers, again, as a rookie, it's not in my vernacular yet to just immediately think of him as the Zay. Let's see here. We had Eric. We took care of that question. Frank Grillo. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Matthew Stafford or Baker Mayfield this week? I would rather play Baker Mayfield against Chicago. Thank you. TB says, pick 2, full PPR. Moss, Davis. We have Zay Jones. Yeah, that is Zay Jones, in fact, starting Ridley. Pick 2 in a full PPR. I play Moss and I play Zay Jones. Thank you. Chens says, Joshua Kelly or Kenneth Walker this week? Joshua Kelly. Thank you. Let's see here. Sven says, just got offered a trade. I would give away Joe Burrow and Drake London to receive Trevor Lawrence and D-Hop. It's a 12-man PPR. Should I accept the trade? I think... Here's the thing about Drake London. I don't think he's going to be this bad all year long. I think he certainly will have top 30 wide receiver upside. The issue is, week 1, they weren't forced to throw the ball. Week 2, he has Jair Alexander. And then if you sell him at this low of a capacity, I think it's a tough move. The issue is you're trading for an injured older wide receiver. That's my issue. So at this point, I'm almost just, I'd rather just hold. I'd rather just hold Burrow in London for now. Let's see here. There's a question where it says, flex Elijah Mitchell, Juju, or Charbonnet this week. Considering I don't expect much from Charbonnet this week. Elijah Mitchell is purely, dependent on the fact that they're winning in a blowout. And even in that blowout, last week he only touched the ball 5 times for 10 yards. So not really a guarantee there either. So I'd play Juju. Let's see here. We had a question that came in. Jamal Williams or Josh Kelly? Yeah, for now it's Josh. Jukester says, run up the likes. Yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated. Guys, if you have not yet already, take 2 seconds out of your day. It'd be greatly appreciated if you guys can click the like button. I'll be back tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will have rankings available on screen for all 4 primary positions, top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends, all for the singular purpose of just giving you some sort of confirmation bias, or at least giving you guys an opportunity to understand where I'm going within the given week. So that'll be available tomorrow. So if there isn't a possibility in which I answer your question within the next 17 minutes, or if I haven't answered your question via proxy of somebody else's question that I may have answered, apologies. Again, a lot of you one of me, but I will have the rankings available tomorrow. So hopefully we'll be good to go there. Thank you. We had a question that came in from Cub. He said, start 2, Kelly, Javonte, Algier, Kieran, Roshan, lost Eckler. Okay, so you have to play Kelly there. The best available option outside of that in a full PPR, it's between Algier and Javonte Williams. Man, Algier, Javonte Williams. For now, I'm probably leaning towards, actually, I don't know. I'm going to wait on that. For sure, Kelly. By tomorrow morning, I'll have an idea as to which of those other 2 I'm gonna roll with. Let's see here. Let's see here. What does it say? Should I start Bryce? Oh, sorry, not Bryce. Should I start Breece Hall? Or do I pick up Joshua Kelly off the waivers and start him? I would pick up Joshua Kelly. That's what I would do. Nico Collins or Jahan Dotson? For now, Jahan Dotson. Hey, Andrew, do you think I would be smart to sell DeAndre Swift and Judy / Njoku if they have big weeks to get either Mark Andrews or ETN? Yeah, I don't mind that idea. Selling high on them Selling high is always a good idea, especially if we know that the value in terms of the long term is going to lean towards the options that we are bringing in rather than getting rid of. Let's see here. We had Steven Hensley. Thank you very much. Steven says, Dobbs, Judy, or Mostert this week. I would play Judy out of the group. Thank you. Will Cooper play, says Z. I don't expect him to. Can he play? Potentially. Will he play? Time will tell. Until then, I'm going to lean towards the idea that he's not going to. Start injured Kelsey or healthy Waller. I think it's the other way around. Start healthy Kelsey or injured Waller, because Waller's not healthy. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, we're playing Kelsey there. Even if Kelsey's not even healthy, he's a better player than Waller if Waller was fully healthy. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. Laporta or Kincaid rest of the season? I mean, look, the offense that Kincaid is associated with would assume that he has more upside, but Dawson Knox played a lot and will continue to play a lot. I'm leaning towards Laporta rest of the season. 49ers for life. Full PPR, Zay Jones or Godwin. I like Godwin this week. The primary reason why I like Godwin as much as I do is because the starting cornerbacks who played as, the nickel, the slot corner, Kyler Gordon, and I forget the other guy's name. They're both out this week for the Bears. I mean, who's going to cover Chris Godwin except for someone that's probably either, converting into the nickel position or potentially is a backup that's a third stringer. And at that point, Godwin should be able to tear him up. We had a question coming from 49ers for life. So we got that one. Thank you very much, 49er. What is that question? What does it say? It says, where did the question go? I just saw it and it just disappeared. Man, the chat just updated so fast. Donahue Brown. Hope you're doing well, Donahue. Thank you. Brees, Algier, Javonte, RB2 PPR. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, so out of those three options, as the RB, man, that's literally the question I had earlier, and I don't know who to choose between Algier and Javonte. I'm going, man. The issue is they both had high production. I think what I'll end up doing is ultimately playing Algier there. As much as I like Javonte in the workload he's getting, I'll ultimately probably play Algier there. Thank you. DJ 622 says, start to Montgomery, Puka, Algier, D-Hop, London, Flowers. No D-Hop, no London. If it's between Montgomery, Algier, Puka, and Flowers, I would probably roll with the Montgomery, Puka full PPR combo. If it's a half PPR, I'd probably run with Montgomery and Algier. Thank you. Nice to see you, DJ. Nice to see you. Let's see here. Donald Smith says, Darren Waller is healthy. Yahoo notified me yesterday. I mean, did he practice in full on Friday? That's the question. Where art thou? Let's see. Darren Waller limited practice Friday. That's why I'm suggesting he's not healthy. Like you wouldn't limited practice him on a Friday unless, I don't know. Anyway, keep it moving. John says, should I start DJ Moore, Najee Harris, Treylon Brooks, Gabe Davis in a full PPR? I'd probably roll with DJ Moore there. Alexis says, trade away AJ Brown and Rashid Shaheed for Garrett Wilson and Zay Jones. No. You should keep AJ Brown. I know he hasn't played well in the first 2 weeks, but he's one of those guys that over the course of the season will get more touches. Just like Nick Sirianni said, going from week 1 to week 2, we got to give DeAndre Swift the ball more. We have to give Goddard the ball more. They're going to make it a concerted effort to get AJ Brown, the ball more so he stops complaining and crying on the sideline. He will be far more valuable than Garrett Wilson going forward. I understand Zay Jones could be the number 2 of the Jaguars, but I would just rather have AJ Brown by himself over Garrett Wilson and Zay Jones rest of the season. The fact that you have Shaheed on top of it just makes it to where it's solidified I'm keeping AJ Brown on roster. Joey Boy, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Says pick one, Elijah Moore, Pickens, or Michael Thomas. Out of those three, I'd probably play Michael Thomas this week. Thanks. D-Hop or Miles Sanders? I don't think D-Hop plays tomorrow. Didn't practice all week, so it's Miles Sanders. Let's see here. Jordy Peasy. What's up, man? Jordy Peasy says, play 4. We have Kenneth Walker. We have Miles Sanders, Montgomery, Dotson, A.J. Dillon, Flowers. A.J. Dillon, number 1. Montgomery, 2. Sanders, 3. Flowers, 4, probably. But probably Flowers, 4. Thank you. We had a question from Prime. Prime 8 plays. Thank you very much. Says, rate my team in a half PPR. We have Josh Allen. We have Christian McCaffrey. We have Jonathan Taylor. David Montgomery. We have Devon A-Chain. We have Elijah Mitchell. Lamb, Smith, Godwin, Deontay Johnson, Hawkinson. Wow, you started off with a very good Thursday, huh? 40 points already off the Rippy Skippy. And then you have Njoku as a backup, Higbee as a backup, and Dallas's defense. So considering all of that, you don't need to have Higbee. You can get rid of him, probably go pick up another player. Additionally, solid running backs, especially once, in fact, Jonathan Taylor returns. Receivers are fine. Quarterback and tight end duo is great. Dallas defense, I mean, you must have been the highest scoring team week 1 because of that 40-point influx. Solid team. I think your team is very much so contingent on Jonathan Taylor's return. And if in fact he does return, regardless of what team he plays for, you're going to be in a really strong spot there. Would you start DJ more Najee? Okay, so we already took care of that question. Dotson or Puka Nacua in a half PPR? I play Puka. Kelsey22 says Christian Watson, Antonio Gibson, Nico Collins, Elijah Moore. Half PPR pick 2. It's probably Nico Collins and Elijah Moore, considering I don't expect Christian Watson to play, and I don't want to trust Antonio Gibson at the moment. Godwin or Cooper, full PPR? I'd probably just play Godwin just to be safe in case of a situation in which Cooper doesn't play on Monday. Thank you. Steven Hernandez. Let's see here. Steven, where you at, my man? Where art thou? Question. It says Zay Flowers, Tyler Lockett, or AJ Dillon in the flex. I would play AJ Dillon in the flex. Thank you. What should I try to get for Garrett Wilson since his value has dropped? It depends, man. If you're playing in a league where everyone understands that his value has dropped significantly, you're not going to be able to get much out of him. I would probably just look to a team that, even just in some remote way believes in him. You probably just because the way that I've seen it in my leagues, the only way to move him is if there is one singular human that it's like, yeah, I still think that he'll be fine. Great. You can have him. Just give me something in exchange. Otherwise, you're still going to have a top 24, 25 wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, but you'll probably have that number 24, number 25, where 1 week he'll have 17, the next he'll have 7, the next he'll have 3, the next he'll have 14. It's going to be inconsistencies because we can't rely upon Zach Wilson to get the job done. Again, with Zach Wilson last year, Garrett Wilson was only averaging like 6.71 fantasy points per game and a half PPR. So you got to find someone that wants him off roster. And then additionally, you got to find some sort of value that is comparable or specifically better than him, which is always going to be tough. Ford or Charbonnet at running back this week? Elias, I'd play Ford. Higher volume of touches, just leans in that direction. Tegan Powell says, trade Mike Evans for Higgins. Yes, I would. I feel comfortable with that. Thank you. Even with Chase as your wide receiver 1, I'll take the entire receiving field of an elite offense in comparison to what Tampa Bay's got over there. United We Stand says full PPR. Pick 1, Dotson, Puka Nacua, or Gabe Davis. I'll play Puka, then Dotson, then Gabe Davis third. Thank you. All right, guys. In about 8 minutes, I'll be shutting it down. Andrew's got to go get a couple things off of his schedule for Saturday. Been a busy day to say the very least, but I do appreciate y'all coming through, asking questions. Reminder, tomorrow we will, of course, be back answering questions from 7 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. 3 hours of nonstop answering questions with rankings on screen, helping y'all out. Before we close out today's stream, I just wanted to go ahead, travel on over to Underdog Fantasy, show you guys a couple of the pick'em plays that I am rolling with in terms of the slip this weekend. Where is my live pick'em slips? Here we go. Let's go ahead and pull this up accordingly. So if we go ahead and show y'all really quickly what we're dealing with. Let me go to my screen capture here. Let's see if this will work accordingly. It does. Nice. Okay, so a couple of the plays that I'm going for this week, okay? Saquon Barkley, higher than 69.5 rushing yards, should be an automatic play primarily because Arizona, 3 of their starting front 7, defensive line and linebackers, should be out this week. Luke Musgrave takes on Atlanta. Their primary coverage linebacker is already out this week, and with Watson and Aaron Jones trending towards being out as well, Luke Musgrave should be able to go higher on that given number. Derrick Henry, he plays against the Chargers. They don't have Eric Kendricks, their starting middle linebacker. Chargers can't stop the run typically. In terms of DVOA, they ranked very low. They're going to give up yardage to a team that loves to run the ball. Derrick Henry should be able to score a touchdown, get the appealing yardage, and put up a pretty solid week here. Godwin, again, like I mentioned earlier, the starting 2 primary nickel corners for the Bears, they're not playing. They're out. They're either on the injured reserve or out this week. He should be able to surpass this number. In the last 9 games of the 2022 season, including playoffs, Godwin surpassed that number every single time. Last week only had 51 receiving yards. I think 54 receiving yards total should be very accessible. Moving on to Jamar Chase, again, in the last 2 games against Baltimore, 18-plus fantasy points in each of those contests. Let's show off a couple more of these. Justin Herbert should be able to go over his passing yard total. They're going to have to pass for a lot of that game to find success. Additionally, Nick Chubb, specifically without Cam Hayward, that Pittsburgh Steelers run-stop defense is not the same. Additionally, we have seen Nick Chubb find himself a lot of success, not only with, but without Jack Conklin. So the season-ending injury to their right tackle is not a big deal. Chubb should be in a pretty, solid position to succeed, especially considering he finds himself consistent success against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The last game he played against them, week 18 of last year, even though he didn't surpass this number, the game was out of hand and he was pulled early, so it didn't really matter. Bijan Robinson's a stud, should be able to, clear all of these stats. So be sure to check this out. For those of you guys who haven't yet already, check out Underdog Fantasy. Support the channel by using code Andrew. Make that first time deposit minimum of $10. Again, you'll get the rankings every single Sunday morning from weeks 2 through 18 from my email directly to yours. Keep an eye on that spam folder. Greatly appreciated. The final other thing that I need to mention, of course, for those of you who are wondering, eligibility is based on your current location. So if in fact you've already signed up via Underdog Fantasy with a different code, whether it's mine, somebody else's, prior to the season, you will not be potentially eligible. You could go ahead, check out the Patreon. We have rankings there that'll be posted tomorrow morning, and good to go. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hope this helps. I do have other, potential slips. Debo, Jamal, Ramondre, David Njoku, Nick Chubb. We have another one here. I mean, we're going all out this weekend. Debo, Waddle always should be able to surpass his receiving total. Saquon, we just take a different stat for him. Brock Purdy, you guys know he's 8 of his last 8 regular season games, 2 or more passing touchdowns. Puka Nacua, 4 receptions. I mean, that should be a pretty solid number that he should be able to surpass. Okay, nonetheless, let me swap back, answer a couple more questions, and we'll be on our way. Bacon, I did in fact answer your question. Must not have heard me. I will go back up there and let me answer it really quickly. But yes, I 100% did. You can pull back the VOD, and I answered it. Let me go ahead. Let's go find Bacon's question. Bacon said, Montgomery, Tyler Algier, Zay Flowers, or Romeo? Yeah, the suggestion was going with both of the running backs, Montgomery and Tyler. Thank you. All right, moving on. So we had a couple more questions before we close out here. We had TestoFam says, in a PPR, pick one. Pacheco, Puka, JSN, or Tony. I would play Puka Nacua this week. Thank you. Jonathan Lee says, full PPR, flex one, Hall, Dotson, JSN, Puka Nacua. I'd play Puka Nacua there as well. We stand, United We Stand says pick one. We already took care of that. That's Puka. United, thank you very much, man. Everybody's got the question, and Puka Nacua is the answer, man. It's crazy, huh? We have Jordy Peasy, who says, in a half PPR scoring format, we have CeeDee Lamb, Zay Jones, K9, Sanders, Montgomery, AJ Dillon, Andrews, Roshan, Warren Dotson. Should I look to trade Kenneth Walker for someone else or a better wide receiver? Considering you have Zay, yeah, you should probably look to get another wide receiver. Maybe T. Higgins. Kind of an idea. Anthony, let's see where you're at, man. Anthony. Okay, so Anthony, your first question was with Cooper moved questionable, move Mike Williams to his spot, start 2 flex, Zay Jones, Joshua Kelly, Kieran Williams, Romeo Dobbs, P. Ryan, Bigsby, Akers. If we're starting 2 in the flex, it's Zay Jones along with Joshua Kelly there. And then did you have another question, Anthony? I think you're good there. Sorry about that, Anthony. I thought I answered it, but probably may have missed it. Apologies. Thank you. Riley TLS says, should I flex Zay Jones, Christian Watson, or Mostert? If it's a half PPR, I'd probably roll with Mostert. If it's a full PPR, I'd probably roll with Zay Jones there. Thank you. Okay. And then we had Ibrahim says, Rashad White or Jahan Dotson? I'll take Rashad White there for now. Thank you. A couple more questions in the chat. We have Kaiser. He says, should I be trading Amari Cooper for Wilson? Should I be trading for Amari Cooper and Wilson combo? A lot of high risk, man. What's the reward? That's the question. Monty, Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, OTJSN start 1. If I'm starting one out of that group and it's a half PPR, it's probably Monty. If it's a full PPR, it's probably Gibbs. Standard league, Kelly or Flowers? I'd probably play Kelly there. Wider Kelly in a standard league, I'd play Kelly. Thank you. Leo says Joshua Kelly was a Zach Moss or Javonte Williams. I'd play Kelly, Javonte, Moss in that exact order. Flex Godwin or Joshua Kelly. In a half PPR, it's Kelly. A lot of Kellys and a lot of Puka Nakuas this week. A lot of room for potential upside and a lot of room for potential failure. Time will tell, I suppose. Musgrave or Durham Smythe? Yeah, I'd play Musgrave there. We had a question from PRMNT. Start AJ Dillon or Tutu Atwell? Give me AJ Dillon. Football Genius, where's your question, man? Didn't get attached. Where did it go? Pierce or Kelly? We'll have that ranked tomorrow morning. It's probably going to be Kelly. Godwin or Debo? It's Debo. Dobbs or London? Dobbs. Joshua Kelly, Aaron Jones if he plays. If Aaron Jones plays, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think I play him, man. It's going to be tough. The dude's coming off a pretty brutal hamstring injury. But we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. Let's see here. Where are we, Football Genius? Traded Higgins and Kamara for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know the context as to what the rest of your team looks like, but anytime you're getting Amon-Ra in exchange, I'm pretty happy with it. So, not bad. Not bad at all. Do you think injury affects Puka that much? I mean, he was limited yesterday. He sustained the injury, I'm assuming, on Wednesday, so he missed Thursday. Is it going to affect him enough to where he doesn't get a high volume of usage? Probably not. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, it's going to be tough for Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, and Higbee to find much success in the offense. So, as long as Puka's on the field, he's going to get himself a high volume of targets. I'm not even worried about him scoring a touchdown because I don't expect him to. It's just a matter of volume. As long as he's on the field and he's active, my assumption is that he will be in a position to where he's catching the vast majority of opportunities that he's given on Sunday. Just dropped Swift for Joshua Kelly. Why? Should I spend Fab to get him back onto the backfield? Yes, you absolutely have to spend Fab. Yes, you might have to spend too much Fab now. That's tough. Jan says, hey, Andrew, full PPR, Freiermuth or Ertz rest of season? Unless Zach Ertz gets traded, it's Freiermuth rest of season. Thank you. All right, guys. We had Mac with start Terry, Jahan Dotson, or London this week. Trade Jahan Dotson for Kieran Williams. You would only make that trade if you have Cam Akers and you want to secure the full backfield. Additionally, it's Terry McLaurin out of the three. All right, guys. That's going to cover for me today. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Again, I got to go take care of a couple errands. Obviously, adjust rankings accordingly and get everything ready for tomorrow. I do appreciate you guys supporting the channel continuously. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Much love. If you guys haven't checked out yesterday's video in terms of buy low trade targets, be sure to do so. Also, of course, that's the wrong way. This way. Check out Underdog Fantasy. I appreciate it. Until next time, we're going to go ahead. We're going to cue the music. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early for week 2. Thank you. See you guys.